Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Grumpy Snail podcast with your host, me, the uncancelable Prince of the Pongs, Jonathan Snyder, here for another 30-minute ramble on everything that's going on. If you like these videos, make sure you click that like button. Make sure you subscribe to this channel to see all these awesome podcasts that I do, and as well as our short films and skits and music and all the other stuff that we do. And make sure that you share this video. If you like this video, you can share it on all your social media. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? We'll get into that. If you have a long comment, you don't want to comment it in the description box down below, you can send us a note at Grumpy Snail Podcast Gmail, and that's probably I think that's it. I think that's everything. Yeah, so I guess we'll get into it. Things are looking pretty bleak, pretty rough. I guess we'll start with the protests in Cuba. Of course, we'll start there, where communists reign supreme. And so, if you haven't been following the news, that's what's going on. There's protests in Cuba, and yeah, so how about we move on to this camera, right? So, the protests in Cuba. Cuba is a communist island where basically the government has an authoritarian rule, and basically they suck up all the resources of the island and leave their countrymen to starve to death in squander, right? That's what all the communist countries do. That's, what's going on in North Korea. That's what went on in the Soviet Union. That's what is sort of going on in the socialist. It's not quite as bad, but Venezuela, those things are happening. And the China, it's going on. They're just really good at business in China, so it doesn't quite look as bad over there. But believe you me, things aren't going great. So, somehow, Cuba didn't quite get the tight grip on the people as much as they want, and these leaks of protests in Cuba are going all across the web. Everybody's seen them, and it's cute. It's a communist country, so they can't be protesting stuff against the government. That's bad. So they went out and they rounded up people and they shot them and killed them, and they completely shut off the internet, so you couldn't see anything anymore. And of course, they're out there waving the American flag, and the people here in this country are we stand in support of Cuba, the Cuban people. No matter who you are in this country, you stand in support of the Cuban people. However, not everybody stands for the Cuban people for the same reason. So organizations such as BLM came out and said it's the U.S.'s fault that these people are starving and protesting in this country. It's all the U.S.'s fault because BLM is a Marxist organization, and that's what they believe, and they believe the U.S. is terrible, and they're just out to make money, which is what that's what that organization does. It's just like the government; it just sucks up all the money from gullible people. So yeah, that's we had this was what was amazing was Joe Biden's response to this situation.
Folks, I want to start by recognizing the remarkable protests that are taking place in Cuba. The Cuban people demanding their freedom from an authoritarian regime. And I don't think we've seen anything like this protest in a long, long time, if quite frankly ever.
Quite frankly ever? What? Did you not forget Hong Kong? Did you not forget people out there waving flags, shout for freedom, and then China came in and wiped them all out? What are you talking about? This happens all the time in all countries where there's an authoritarian regime trying to control the entire population. People go out and they protest, and they say they want freedom, and the authoritarian regime comes in and snuffs it out. It's exactly what's happening in this country right now, and I mean, we'll get into that. But I mean, first of all, we're surprised that Joe Biden even admitted that it's an authoritarian regime. It's maybe he's not quite following the script. I don't know, but yeah, that's the situation in Cuba, and I mean, Cuba isn't the only place where things are bad. I don't know if you've paid attention to the riots in South Africa. They're bad. They're really bad. I mean, it's basically we're not talking about small group activist protests. We're talking about an entire populace which is out just destroying businesses and everything. It's utter turmoil in South Africa, and not only there. I don't know if you guys follow what's going on in Ethiopia, but there's a civil war over there going on right now, and Lebanon is in total utter collapse. Of course, a week or 2 weeks ago, maybe I think it was, the president of Haiti was assassinated, and I mean, that is a complete mess in Haiti, because that whole island has been wrecked since the hurricane came through several years ago, and so this whole situation with the assassination, there's U.S. citizens or something involved with it, and DEA agents, and that is a total mess, and all there's several people claiming that they're now the current president or the current people in charge, and it's hard to actually figure out who is, considering that there's like multiple constitutions or something that they're going. So that whole thing it is a mess, and that, again, it's not the only place that's not doing so well. The President Joe Biden announced a couple weeks ago, or it was several months ago, we talked about the pullout of American troops in Afghanistan, and that's a contentious situation, because there isn't a bipartisan agreement with whether we should pull out troops or whether we shouldn't pull out troops, and for the very simple fact that the Taliban, which is the terrorist organization that we pushed out, or we try to push out, or whatever, of Afghanistan, is pretty much more powerful now than they were when after we got there, and it's pretty well established that the second we pull out, they're just going to run in there and take over the whole country. And so you have some people on both sides saying that we shouldn't pull troops out. We should leave people. A lot of conservatives are saying it. A lot of like the big D Democrats, the kind of establishment Democrats, they're all in. We're all in for the big war, the military-industrial complex that pretty much just enforces our empiric rule across the whole entire world, and other people think that we've been there for 20 years, and I mean, there's no saving that place. It's the Afghan people are not gonna fight for their country, and if they're not gonna fight for it, America shouldn't fight for it either. That we don't belong in all these countries. We need to be here in this one, taking care of this country, because I don't know if you're paying attention, but you probably should get your head out of your butt and look at what's going on, because things are falling apart. And you can't go around policing the world when you can't control the things going on in your own country. So we don't belong in Afghanistan. We don't belong in Cuba. But we should still be the harbingers of freedom. And we should still do our best to keep a situation of liberty here, so that those places throughout the world where there isn't any freedom, those people can come here and be free. But the current establishment does not want that. They want control, which is why the White House and Congress came out and said they do not want Cuban refugees here. We do not want them here. If you're in Cuba, you can stay in Cuba. We don't want you here. It's okay that we've had the highest immigration rate in the last 20 years coming here. But if you're from Cuba, you stay the hell out. You stay in Cuba. You stay on your island. I don't care how close we are. Don't you try swimming across those shark-infested waters to come to this country, because we don't want you. We don't want you here. We don't want you here, and probably North Koreans, we don't want you here either. So you can stay. I mean, not that you would see this, because you don't get the internet or anything in that place. But the government doesn't want you here either. You know why? Because they don't want more people fighting for freedom in this country. They want to control it. And they've done nothing but prove that that's precisely their goal. Jen Psaki has come out over and over again pushing this authoritarian agenda. For one, they come out and say that they want to control and censor all your text messages on your phone. So we're talking about like a utility. It would be just like your electricity, your water. Would be just like they shut it off. Oh, you're somebody that we don't agree with. We're going to shut off your access. So, I mean, that's crazy. That's entirely insane and authoritarian. And also, I mean, if that wasn't enough, they came out and said that they're working with Facebook to censor and control information. Now, they use the term misinformation, but you got to remember that the misinformation they're talking about is anything that they deem to be misinformation. So while they may assert that it's just for health misinformation because of the whole pandemic, we're talking about precedent here. If they can tell a private company what to do and stifle constitutional rights for one thing, then they can do it for whatever they want. I mean, I think we're beyond the point of slippery slope. I think we've moved past that. And you still say, but they come out and say misinformation is killing people. It's killing people because they aren't getting a vaccine. They aren't getting a vaccine, what you're calling a vaccine. Maybe they're not getting a vaccine because you have messed up. Not because there's misinformation out there from other sources. Maybe you're the misinformation. I mean, how many times do you got to be wrong about things before you start seeing the consequences of your actions? So yeah, I mean, the government's wrong all the time, and I find it hilariously ironic that the people walking around whining and complaining and moaning about how terrible the government is and how they do all these bad things. And then they go on to say, I think the best solution is to have more government control. I mean, how does that make sense? How does that make sense? I mean, how many constitutional rights do you have to take away from people? I mean, really, you're going to, I mean, you try to go after the firearms, try to go after the Second Amendment. You're going after the First Amendment now. You're doing this whole voting thing, which, you know, is also against the Constitution. The voting rights are left up to the states. The states are supposed to establish the rules for voting, and the federal government wants to come in and just overrule everything. And you sit there and say racist things like, well, black people can't get IDs, or Latin people can't get IDs, brown people can't get IDs. Yeah, they can. And they have them. Stop being stupid. Stop being racist. I mean, it's gross. It's gross is what it is. It's sickening. And I don't know why people support this. It logically does not make any sense whatsoever. But I mean, this is what you vote for. This is Donald Trump was so bad that you had to get this. This had to be your choice. So, I mean, it's terrifying. It really is terrifying. It's one thing to sit here and say all these bad things are going to happen, but it's another thing to sit here and actually realize that these bad things are going to happen. And I mean, they'll spare no expense, spare no expense whatsoever for these people to get the control that they want. I mean, it's crazy, and it's not the problem. It would be fine if you just had a corrupt government, but you don't have a corrupt government. You have a corrupt government. You have a complicit media. You have a complicit organization of corporations that are working for the government to push their agenda. I mean, which you have in the censorship of misinformation, and I mean, how much more does it have to be? I mean, at what point? I'm not saying, I'm not going to step on the hyperbole and the sarcasm and all that stuff and say this is Nazism, or this is fascism, or this is communism, or this is because this isn't like Nazi Germany. This isn't like communist North Korea. This is the before. This is the road to. And if this keeps going, that's where we end up. And it's not just. I mean, it's not just these things. There was do you guys remember Michael Avenatti? I know you're sitting there going, who? Who's Michael Avenatti?
Donald Trump's worst nightmare, Michael Avenatti.
Joining us once again is Michael Avenatti.
Let's bring in Michael Avenatti.
Michael Avenatti. Michael Avenatti.
Michael Avenatti, thank you very much.
He's out there saving the country.
Don Meacham says he may be the savior of the republic.
You are something of a folk hero now.
I owe Michael Avenatti an apology. I've been saying enough already, Michael. I've seen you everywhere. What do you have left to say? I was wrong, brother. You have a lot to say. I am just dying to hear what you think.
These people all like you.
I'm the only person right here Donald Trump fears more than Robert Miller.
We think you guys are the tip of the spear that's going to take down Donald Trump.
Michael Avenatti's a beast.
Okay, that's true.
And
he's a beast.
He's a beast.
I hand it to her, and I hand it to Michael Avenatti.
But he has a bigger calling here. That being a lawyer is minimal compared to what he's doing.
No one has talked tougher directly to Donald Trump on TV than Michael Avenatti, and Donald Trump is afraid to mention his name.
That's fascinating.
Donald Trump is terrified of Michael Avenatti.
He gives Trump a run for his money more than anybody else, Michael Avenatti.
An existential threat to the Trump presidency.
The Democrats could learn something from you. You are messing with Trump a lot more than they are.
He has no doubt created sheer panic in Donald Trump's very fragile mind.
Michael Avenatti is laying down the law as guest co-host. And is he really thinking about running for president?
One reason why I'm taking you seriously as a contender is because of your presence on cable news.
You look at the field of Democrats right now, and Avenatti's the one who stands out.
If they decide they value a fighter most,
Yes.
people would be foolish to underestimate Michael Avenatti.
I have always said that they need a fighter.
Look, I mean, we're going to continue to use the media. I think we've used it with great success.
All of my sexual fantasies involve handcuffs.
Yeah, so if you don't remember all that, if you people out there with your short memories, Michael Avenatti was the lawyer for porn star Stormy Daniels, right? Is that her name, Stormy Daniels? Anyway, so it turns out this guy's like, you know, a corrupt lawyer and is going to jail because he was trying to extort money from Nike.
Nike is constantly political. Why? Cover. Congressional reports suspect Nike used forced labor in China. Religious minorities were ripped from their families, sterilized, sold to factories. Nike made shoes in those same areas. Congress tried to ban Nike's labor practices. Nike fought back with highly paid lobbyists. Rather than hiring Americans, Nike chose China. John Donahoe, Nike. Stop exploiting foreign labor. Serve your customers, not woke politicians.
And, you know, many of his clients. So, the guy was a dirtbag. The savior of the country was the dirtbag. And, you know, the complicit media with the government and the corporations putting up for this guy, saying how great he was. It's not just him. Remember we had the news about remember that pedophile, Olympic, gymnast teacher that sexually assaulted all these little girls and stuff? Well, it turns out that, you know, the FBI knew about it. They just didn't do anything. Because, you know, they're complicit. They're all complicit in this disgusting nonsense happening. Remember Hunter Biden's laptop? Nobody gives a crap about the crackhead Hunter Biden. We're talking about the corruption and nonsense of the government and how much money that Joe Biden made off of his son, and that's still out there, and it's gonna come back into the news in a couple weeks. So, I mean, it's not gonna come on mainstream because they don't care. But it's not just him. Remember that disgusting ghoul Nancy Pelosi and all the insider trading nonsense with her and her husband and all that. This is disgusting stuff. I mean, if you guys in West Virginia are paying attention, do you follow this whole thing with Joe Manchin and his daughter and this pharmaceutical company or medical manufacturing plant that's in Morgantown that's shutting down and shipping out to China? I mean, are you guys following? Are you paying attention? Or are you just walking around like, I gotta pay my bills and go to work and take care of the kids? Really? How are you going to do that? How are you going to do that when a corrupt government takes over the whole entire country and puts enforced rule over top of you, huh? How are you going to take care of your kids then? How are you going to take care of your kids when they're going to school where they're getting all this critical race applied principles and the diversity and equity and what's the last one? Yeah. Diversity, inclusion, and equity. I put two of them together. So, I mean, really, you guys, come on. Do I have to keep talking about the inflation? The Consumer Report Index came out and said in the month of June, the inflation's 5%. 5%. For 1 month. The average is 2% yearly, and it was 5% for 1 month. Now, granted, there's a big hullabaloo over the fact that a big proportion, excuse me. God bless me, I sneezed on live camera. Anyway, a good proportion of that percentage was in rental cars, okay? Because, you know, we got chip shortages, We've got, prices of certain things like brand new cars, used cars, and the sales of those things are going up. People are getting influxes of cash money because of the stimulus, because of this child care nonsense, where people are just getting thousands of dollars a month for Lord knows how long it's going to last for their kids. So people are just being flooded with cash. And what happens when you flood people with cash? Well, prices go up because that's how it works. If you have money and you're going to spend it, prices are going to go up because people aren't producing those things. They aren't producing. As a matter of fact, there's a large portion of people that aren't going back to work because why would they? Why would they go back to work if they can get money and not have to work? And not only that, but they spent this whole amount of time not working and they've decided that their job is garbage. I mean, why would you slave away at your crappy job making no money? So people aren't going to work. So products are being produced. So prices are going up. That's what's happening. And you can say that, oh, it's just rental cars. Just the rental cars are going up. No. No. If pork goes up 8%, that's pork. 8%. That's your food. Okay? I don't care if it's 35 or 45 or 85 or whatever percent for a rental car. I don't care if that's pulling the whole entire group up to 5% for the month. If those little things go up just a little bit, that's too much, okay? People are already short-handed on money, all right? Especially people in small family homes, all right? And then all these people are going around buying, all these organizations like these banks and big banks and whatnot are going out and buying up all these houses at 30% markups and stuff because they can outbid regular families. So people are going to have to rent because there aren't going to be any homes to buy. So they have to rent because it won't be available. Well, guess what? Rent's not stationary. The price of rent's not staying the same. The rent has gone up. There was a report I read last week where they were talking about how rent has doubled. Because for starters, the people that own these houses that are getting paid rent from their renters haven't been getting any money because there's been this moratorium. Well, the moratorium is coming to an end, and then the bills coming due.
Rent is too damn high. What? People working 8 hours a day, 4 hours a week, and a third job. What you gonna do with a load of rent? Mothers can barely afford to feed their children breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If rent ain't too high in your state, something is high somewhere. Come and run with me. Rent is too damn high. I say the rent is too damn high. I'm Jimmy McMillan, 2013. I'm running for mayor. Come and run with me because of...
Yeah, well, we can at least dance to the apocalypse. Thanks for joining me this weekend for this podcast. Please pay attention. Share this video if they allow it. Because whatever, right? Take care. Cheers. God bless. See you next time.
It's too damn high. My mustache and haircut is too damn fly. I'm on a mission again to give the people my word. The rent around here is too damn absurd. Rent and the deficit is too damn high.